And it's once again time for Music Lessons in a Box Musical Bingo. Make sure you have your crayon or your marker and you are ready to circle the ones that get called. You need to get B-I-N-G-O either straight across or diagonal. And then what do you do, Kendra, if you get bingo straight across or diagonal?
Then you post it on social media, the hashtag Music Lessons in a Box.
Have to use the hashtag Music Lessons in a Box, and not everyone who has a card who's playing is going to be able to get all B-I-N-G-O, and not everyone who posts their winning card on Instagram is going to get the points because you have to be one of the first people in order to earn your points. So make sure you play right away and that you post your picture right away so you're one of the first winning people and you will get your points. I think that's it. Make sure you use this month's card and this month's video. Good luck! The fourth line on the treble clef is always going to be a D. Since the spaces of the bass clef spell the word ace, A-C-E, this is the second one up, which means it's the C of ace. You get to mark it off if you have an F in the bass clef or the treble clef. A repetition is any part of a song or solo where you're just repeating some little group of notes. This note is on the space above the treble clef, making it a G. Any quarter note or quarter rest is worth one beat. This counts as a D in the treble or the bass clef. A measure is just a chunk of beats within a song. Most songs have at least 8 or more measures. Some of them have up to like hundreds of measures. That rest looks like an upside down hat, which means it's a whole rest, worth 4. The second line up in the treble clef is always going to be a G. This is the great, the amazing Bach. This note is on the top line of the bass clef, which means it's an A. The spaces of the treble clef spell the word face, F-A-C-E, and this is the third one up, so it is the C. If two of the same notes have a swoopy line over or below them, that means they're tied together. You're only supposed to play the first one and just hold it out through the second one. 3 is the value of any dotted half note or dotted half rest. It looks like fine, but it's pronounced fine, and it means it's the end, the finish. It kind of looks like a B, but it's actually a flat sign. It means to play the note slightly lower. This is on the first little ledger line above the bass clef, which means this is middle C. Since the spaces of the treble clef spell the word face, F-A-C-E, this one is on the bottom, which makes it the F of face. This counts as a B in the treble or the bass clef. A bar line is an up and down, a vertical line that separates measures. The second line up in the bass clef is always going to be a B. This is a bass clef sign, also known as an F clef. It is the graph for all of the lower notes. Accelerando means to gradually get faster. A decrescendo looks like a sideways V going from the big end to the little end, showing you that you should have a lot of sound going to a little sound. This note is on the space above the bass clef. It's one note below middle C, which means this is B. The spaces of the bass clef spell A-C-E, ace, and this is on the very bottom one, so it's the A of ace. The bass clef is the graph for all the lower notes. That is the incredible jazz pianist Bill Evans. Forte means play it loudly. This half note is worth 2 beats. The time signature is what tells us how many beats are in each measure and what kind of note we're counting with. Tenuto means to hold the note for the full value, maybe a little bit longer. It looks like a top hat, but it's actually a half rest and it's worth 2 beats. The second space up on the treble clef is an A because all the spaces spell the word face, F-A-C-E. The third line up on the bass clef is always going to be a D. Eight VB means you're supposed to play that section 1 octave or 8 notes lower. Mezzo piano means kinda softly because mezzo means kinda and piano means softly. That's an 8th note, which is worth 1/2. One and a half is the value of any dotted quarter note or dotted quarter rest. This is the great composer Scott Joplin, sometimes classified as a classical composer, but usually classified as a jazz composer. Since forte means loudly, fortissimo means really loudly. It's usually indicated with 2 F's next to each other. Pianissimo means really quiet, and it usually has 2 P's in a row. 1 P is quiet, 2 P's is pianissimo, really quiet. A repeat sign is 2 dots stacked on top of each other that tell you to go back and play it all again. This counts as an E in the treble clef or the bass clef. The third line up on the treble clef is always a B. Anytime we have the treble clef and bass clef showing up together, it's called the grand staff. This rest only has 1 notch or 1 flag on it, which means that it's an 8th rest worth 1/2. Staccato is a dot above or below a note, and it just tells you that you're supposed to disconnect that note from the other ones around. Don't hold it out a long time. The third space up on the bass clef is always going to be an E because the spaces spell the word ace, A-C-E. This is the third one, it's an E. An accent looks like a little V on its side above or below a note, and it just means to punch that one a little bit harder, make it a little bit louder. There's the granddaddy of them all, Louis Armstrong. The bottom line on the bass clef is always going to be a G. That's a quarter note, which is worth 1. An accidental is any flat or sharp or natural sign, anything telling you to play something different than what is normal for the song. Mezzo forte means kinda loud, because mezzo means kinda and forte means loud. That note is on a space below the treble clef, which makes it a D. This counts as an A in the treble clef or the bass clef. This whole note is worth 4 beats. And that's all we're calling today for Musical Bingo, so hopefully you were a winner. If not, don't worry, there's always next month. And if you were a winner, make sure you post that right away because you want to be one of the first people and earn your points. See you next time.
Bye.